So I don't know if Holly was kind of unsure about whether or not she would do it, or if she had something else going on. Like I said, broadcast news is the same year. Maybe that was on the horizon. It might have been a scheduling conflict.
And then this is probably in your notes, so I apologize, but I think they were looking at Kevin Costner before Cage.
Yeah. Which
no way.
No way, right?
No.
I cannot see that. Kevin Costner, I think, is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He might not be the best actor, but I think he's pretty good, especially with the right material. He's great the same year in The Untouchables.
Yes.
But I've never gotten like that kind of zany comedy vibe off of him.
No.
And if he's tried to do it, he's failed miserably.
The closest thing would be Tin Cup, and that's more of a rom-com.
Even like Bull Durham, yeah, that's not really like a full-on like comedy. Because Cage absolutely works for this type of character in this type of film.
Even though I guess their relationship was strained.
Yeah,
because he, I guess he wanted to have some kind of input within the film, the making of the film, and the Coen Brothers just straight up ignored him. And I guess so. It was, from what I read, like they had a good relationship, but Cage hasn't come back ever. Right, to work with them. So what does that say?
Probably was too much trouble in the end. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer because he's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about this a few months ago when we were talking about Bill Murray and Scrooged, how he didn't get along with Richard Donner, which is a bummer because I think he's very good in Scrooged. Just like I think Cage is great here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a bummer that they not necessarily didn't get along, but had that kind of weird, turbulent relationship with each other. But at the same time, like, I think the Coen Brothers are very specific in their writing, and I would be surprised if they switch it up a lot or allow for a lot of improvisation in their films. So
I think they had like a budget of like $5 million for Raising Arizona, so they already had, the script was completed relatively fast. They had all, the storyboards of everything. So
yeah, they were very meticulous with everything.
Yeah, so when they went on to shoot it in just, what did I say, 10
weeks.
10 weeks.
Yeah.
Of course, there's not really breathing rooms. They're like, no, this is the plan, and we're going to follow this, you know what I mean? But given Cage's record, as we know him now, with, Face Off and all these things, he's very much like a loose cannon, but I feel like... Is
he still?
Yeah.
Or was that just like early Cage as kind of a wild card and then kind of settled down? I can't imagine he was pulling this shit with Scorsese.
No. I doubt. He probably took a seat, because of course the Coen Brothers were still early filmmakers.
Yeah, they were very new
at this point, but I don't know, just a rage Cage. What I love about this one is that his wildness fits for the style of the movie, so it's not distracting the way that it can be in other genres, I guess. So
I've said it before, I'll say it again, like I am 100% down for everything he does in Face Off.
Yeah.
I think he is so much fucking fun in Face Off, and he's clearly having a great time being this over-the-top villain, for at least for half of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's... Raising Arizona is one of my favorite roles from him.
Yeah. Granted, you haven't seen his newer stuff yet, right? Like
not a lot, yeah.
Mandy.
Haven't seen Mandy. Haven't seen Pig. I know everyone was talking up Pig last year.
They had the H.P. Lovecraft one, The Color of Space, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
He's got some good kind of genre work going for him now.
I think I read recently that he's kind of out of debt, so he won't be doing all the crazy...
Oh, really?
Like straight to video or straight to demand movies. anymore. I think he was doing a lot of that because of he was in debt with the IRS for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
What about?
I don't think he's referring to movies like Mandy and
Yeah,
Pig
no.
and Color Out of Space. I think it's like he was in that period for like a decade where he was just in any piece of shit.
Like I don't know if these were theatrical or not, but like Knowing and Drive. What is it called? Drive Me to Hell or something? Or
Drive Angry. Yeah, those were theatrical, but like
bad movies.
bad movies. Yeah, you didn't have to do them. Next is another really bad one.
Next, yeah. That's why, for a really long time, I disliked Cage.
Well, he was doing all that stuff for the money instead of doing it for acting. I mean, I think he's phenomenal in both adaptation and Bringing Out the Dead.
What about Family Man?
Haven't seen Family Man. Fuck
Okay.
Brett Ratner.
Okay.
Even though Cheadle's in it and Tay Leone's in it, still fuck Brett Ratner.
What about Matchstick Men?
Matchstick Men's good.
Yeah.
It's a Ridley Scott movie.
Yeah.
So he's very good in some of those roles just before he kind of goes off the cliff. Does just a bunch of shitty movies for money.
After National Treasure, I was just like, I don't know.
National Treasure's not good. I know a lot of people like the movie because it's just kind of like a fun movie, but it's not a good movie.
And it's coming back.
Are they going to do a third one finally? I know that they've been talking about doing a third one forever.
So supposedly they're going to do a third one. Cage is going to return, and then they're doing some kind of series as well.
Like with Cage as well?
That's what I read.
Are they going to bring John Voight back? Because that dude went full Trumper.
He is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. Jolie's father, right? Oh, man. I guess that doesn't surprise me. He hasn't done anything in a while, right?
He was on that Ray Donovan show forever. And apparently everyone on Ray Donovan hated his guts. Because he was always like talking like the super right-wing shit.
Is that why Angelina doesn't fuck with him anymore?
I think it's a lot more than that, but that might factor in somehow. But yeah, I think that Cage will probably come back to doing some more legitimate movies. I mean, hopefully someone will give him, some bigger roles.
Yeah.
At least in more mainstream stuff is what I'm trying to get at.
I think him doing Pig for Neon really put some, the spotlight on him that he still has it. You know what I mean?
He's got a new movie coming out that looks really fun.
Oh yeah, the one where he plays himself.
Yeah.
That's very meta.
Yeah, him and Pedro Pascal.
It has a very long title, like the
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, I think is
the
title.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
But it looks like a lot of fun. And especially if he's going to kind of like be playing his image up in that. Then I'd be excited to watch that.
Also, shout out to, we didn't say the title, Bringing Out the Dead.
Bringing Out the Dead.
The most underrated Scorsese film ever, dude.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's safe to say, because it's this far out, I think it's on my list for next year.
Okay.
And it probably will be one of the finalists, because yes, I 100% agree that is a movie that is severely underrated.
Besides you and me, the people who have seen it, they think that it sucks.
That was one of the first Scorsese movies I remember watching and seeing people walk out of and being like, what is wrong with people?
Yeah, I don't understand what...
And we should... And speaking of Bringing Out the Dead, we should bring out that John Goodman appears in that movie with him. He's one of the 3 partners that he has throughout the movie.
Yeah, full circle.
Yeah.
Good movie. I mean, yeah, it's uncomfortable and it's kind of an unorthodox story. You're not expecting it from Scorsese, but it's rad.
I think I was having a discussion last weekend with Joel when we were hanging out, how kind of like a lot of people overlook Casino because they just want to unfairly compare it to Goodfellas.
No, I prefer Casino.
And Casino is so fucking good. I mean, I love them both. Goodfellas is probably one of my 3 favorite movies of all time. But Casino's so fucking good, and people just kind of always, it's the same guys making the same story, and it's not.
No.
But I think the problem with Bringing Out the Dead is it's basically, Paul Schrader and Scorsese kind of doing almost in the same universe as Taxi Driver type movie, and I think a lot of people want to write it off as though it's just Taxi Driver but with paramedics. Even though he's clearly not the psychopath that Travis Bickle is in Taxi Driver.
No.
He's just someone who's very burned out at his job. But I think a lot of people want to dismiss it as kind of like just a Taxi Driver knockoff because it's from the same creative team, and it's not. It's not, but I love like the look of it, like that feel of like that really it takes place in the late 80s, I believe. That like really gritty New York. The cinematography in it is great. I have to look up who did that. I think it might be Robert Richardson, who did a lot of Scorsese films.
The cinematographer?
Yeah, and is currently, I think, Tarantino's go-to guy, and was Oliver Stone's go-to guy for a while. But just the look of it, the music, obviously it's a Scorsese movie, so the music kicks ass. But yeah, I agree 100%. Watch Bringing Out the Dead. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite Scorsese movies. It's one of my favorite Nick Cage performances. We most likely will be covering it on this show next year. It's on my list of potentials for next year, and like I said, it most likely will be a finalist. So look forward to that.
I know I am. You just told me this. I'm just hearing this for the first time. So
I'll give you the list of what I have for next year already. I have to think ahead, man.
Yeah.
We only have 12 to 13 slots, and that 13 slot is always the end of the year show. So with 12 slots, it's kind of hard to get a narrow list. I left ones off for this year that I was heartbroken to leave off.
But there's always next year.
That's right, there's always next year. If I don't die before then.
Don't say that.
If I do, I'll make sure to send you the list. That way you have them and you can cover them in memoriam.
What if I die and then you have to continue the show somehow?
I won't have anyone to bounce my ideas off. I'll just be like, yeah, this movie's pretty good. You should check it out. That's the end of the show. Hope you guys enjoyed. So here's something that's really fun. Like a really fun piece of trivia.
Okay.
Trey Wilson, who plays Nathan Arizona, the father of the quintuplets. How old do you think he is?
50s? Wrong.
Wrong. Go younger by about 15 to 20 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he in makeup?
Nope. He kind of looked like an old man. He died very young. He died when he was only 40 years old.
What?
And that was like the early 90s, I believe.
I know because they were planning on he was going to be in their next film, right? And then he passed away before he could do it.
Was he going to be in Miller's Crossing?
Yes.
Oh, he was? Oh,
yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Do you know what role? Was he going to be the Albert Finney role?
I don't want to say on air in case I'm wrong, but I do know he was going to be in that film, and then he died right before production started.
So that would be late 80s, because Miller's Crossing is like 1990, I believe. So you would have to die 89? Maybe early 90, depending on when production for Miller's Crossing. If I had to guess, I would say he's the Albert Finney role, but I could be wrong. Maybe the Pulido role, the John Pulido role.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what a bummer. No, he died when he was 40 years old. So when he makes this movie, he's in his mid-30s.
That's insane.
But he looks like he's 50 at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even watching it last night, I was like, they look a little old to be having kids. But then I realized, Trey Wilson was probably in his mid-30s.
Yeah, he looks, at least in his face, he looks a little rough.
Got born looking old. Some people are like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. He's like very standout in a few movies around that same time. One of them is Married to the Mob, which he's in, I think, in '88, which is a very funny Jonathan Demme movie that he made just prior to The Silence of the Lambs.
Mm-hmm.
Very funny movie with Michelle Pfeiffer. I highly recommend that one. but he plays an